One.
This episode of Well Met is brought to you in partnership with Legion by Lenovo and Intel. Find out more about Legion by Lenovo on Facebook and Twitter at Legion by Lenovo.
We're almost there. Quiet down, everyone. This is not like any of our previous expeditions. This will be far more ambitious.
You're listening to Well Met,
Well Met,
a Hearthstone podcast brought to you by BlizzPro.com.
Well Met.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 101 of Well Met podcast. This week you'll notice things are a little bit different. John is out on vacation, so I'm pushing the buttons and hopefully making the podcast sound okay. It's probably going to sound terrible, and I apologize for that. But this week I'm your host from Kansas City, J.R. Cook, and I'm here with a couple other hosts. So let's go to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and talk to Tannen Grace. Tannen, how are you doing this week?
I'm happy I'm not the one pushing the buttons, because we probably just would have not had a show this week. I probably would have exploded something by about now. So I don't envy your position, JR, but we'll make it through.
This is my first time actually hosting a podcast, so I'm a little nervous, actually, for being on one for a while. Like, actually controlling everything is not as easy as it looks. And John could probably tell you that. Also, from Kansas City, replacing John this week, we've had him on the show before. You'll know him as the KC Firesides Gathering guy, Sam Benson. Sam, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me back on the show. JR, you're doing an excellent job hosting so far. You're doing a great job.
You're just saying that so you get invited back, right?
Yeah, exactly. I gotta get 3 times, and then I've officially made it, I think.
Then you're grandfathered in. You can't not be back on the show after 3 times. Like, you're exempt to that point.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, just ask Tannen.
That's how I got this. That's how I got this gig.
Yeah, we just brought Tannen on twice, and then he just didn't leave after that.
Just stuck around.
Just stuck around, and then that made Kevin leave, and yeah, it was just all bad all around.
Oh, so. I was wondering what that was all about. That explains a lot.
Yeah.
I'll take the blame.
So there is a lot of stuff happening this week in Hearthstone, guys. But let's start off by what have you guys been doing in Hearthstone this week? We'll start off with Sam there. I mean, Sam, you've been pretty busy with some Fireside Gathering stuff. I know you've got one coming up. How's that all going? And how's your Hearthstone game been?
Preparations for the next KC Firesides event happening on April 29th. Are
day after my birthday, by the way.
Day after your birthday. And yeah. I saw that you got a couple tickets. You're coming.
Yep.
I look forward to seeing you there. But, things are going well. We've sold about 30% of our tickets. We're right along schedule because we got about a month and a week until the event. Ticket sales are going well. I think we have 24 tickets available. So, if you're in the Kansas City area and you'd like to come, definitely get a ticket. But otherwise, I've been really busy with the Fireside Gatherings movement in general. Recently, I was invited to go out to PAX East in Boston, which was my first PAX event or large con in general. And as overwhelming as that was just a blast to go to. And we had a Fireside Gathering there with a couple folks. We'll talk about that later in the show, but that's been the most exciting Hearthstone news of my week, my last couple of weeks. As for the actual game itself, I think I'm hovering around rank 21 with a super greedy Crusher Shaman list. I'm not winning very many games, but I'm loving it. I'm excited about Un'Goro. I'm excited about the flavor of the cards and sort of the direction that set's taking.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited about Un'Goro right now, and just seeing kind of the stuff that we've been getting. So it's it's definitely has piqued my interest. So, Tannen, how about you in Hearthstone this week? What have you been up to?
Well, I think I have to admit, I think this is the first time in my life that I've read more about Hearthstone in a week than actually playing it. I kind of loathe turning on the Hearthstone thing right now. The game is very boring to me at this moment, like just at this exact moment in time, because it's like
that
the
lull
calm
right
the
before.
storm.
Yeah, it's that lull right
Yeah.
before the new expansion.
Yeah, it feels so daunting to go like try to ladder right now, and I'm just like, man, just give me the new cards, please. We're getting a tease like every day, get a little taste of Ngoro here or there. I just can't wait for dinosaurs, JR. Just give me the damn dinosaurs already.
April 6th. That's going to be the date. April 6th.
Can't get
it's
here
not
soon enough.
confirmed.
Cross
but-
your fingers.
It's not
Yeah.
confirmed, but early April. All signs kind of point to April 6th. April 6th is, I mean, like I said, it's not confirmed, but whatever. It's confirmed in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what matters, right?
Tomorrow we're gonna get like April 16th coming out. Thanks, JR.
Yeah. Well, as for me though, I've been I've been playing a pretty decent amount of ladder and even arena. Right now I need to finish my arena run that I have right now because I'm like 6-0, and I just need to go and finish that up because I am having a really good run with Rogue right now. This is hopefully, and now I say this, I'll probably lose like my next 3 games.
6-3 is still good.
Yeah, it is, but I've never gone 12-0 or 12 wins in arena yet. I think the most that I've gotten is 10. So I feel really good about this deck, though. So we'll see how it goes. I don't play a lot of arena, so it'll be interesting to see. But other than that, I've been laddering with a hunter deck because I wanted to see if I could do well with a hunter deck. And there's actually a decent deck out there right now that's running Finja and running secrets and things like that. And it's been doing pretty well for me. I think I'm up to rank 8 with it. It's not, super great or anything like that, but it's something different, something that I don't think a lot of people are playing right now. And I have to say that I really like the ranked floors that they implemented in the ladder system. Because, once I hit rank 10, I didn't have to worry about going back down or anything like that. And I can play this stupid deck until it starts winning again, or I can make changes without feeling like I'm going to lose by playing a really dumb deck. But it's not too bad. So if you want to play something different this month, I highly encourage it right now because like Tannen said, right now the ladder just stinks. And the game is just in a really weird place. And it always is, like, before every expansion, it's always like this. So I always try to find something new and different before all of these cards rotate out and we get something new. So, but anyway, do you guys want to go ahead and jump into the news?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
This week in Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft.
So before we get started, we'd like to thank our friends of the show, Albert T, The Real Ben, Coral, and I don't remember how John pronounced his name last week, so Tannen might have to remind me here.
I think it was Veritas.
Veritas,
or
I believe,
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. We're gonna butcher it the first few times. It's gonna
Yeah, and when
happen.
John is here, he'll get it perfect.
Yeah,
And
Is it
Totally
Viriatus? Viriatus?
that could be it.
Ooh, it
I'd have
sounds
to listen
Latin.
to last week's show.
Sounds very Latin.
Sounds very fancy.
Yeah.
So as far as news this week, we had a couple. We had a fun little video with if you ever watch Community, Abed, Danny Pudi or whatever his name is. He did like a professor thing, and it was a pretty funny video. You should definitely go check that out. We're not gonna sit here and talk about it because it's kind of fluff, and there's not a lot to talk about with that video. It's just fun to watch, so check it out. We had a new journal, the E. Malone journal, that was showing off possibly some new things that are coming out. Also, at the end of the video that I was talking about, we kind of got a glimpse of what the Paladin legendary, the quest reward was going to be. And it's Galvadon, which is that's all they showed, is it's a it's a dinosaur named Galvadon, but it didn't show any stats or anything like that. And so we're gonna get that hopefully pretty soon through this video series. But other than that, I wanted to talk to you, Sam, about your PAX East experience. We were talking about it right at the beginning. You went out there. Blizzard flew you out there, right? And
That's correct.
You helped run the event, the Fireside Gathering out there.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I think I got a call like 2 weeks before the event happened. They're like, "Hey, do you want to take March 10th off of work?" I said, "Yeah, sounds good." So we got a hotel, and I was with 3 other innkeepers: Ryan H. from California, Scott from Arizona, and Steven from the East Coast. I can't remember exactly what state.
Have you met them before? Or
I had met them before at the Innkeeper Summit last July, I think. Last July. But it was really, I'd only known these guys for like 2 days ish at the summit. But when I got to Boston, it was like seeing old friends again. It was really because we're all about the Fireside Gatherings program. We're all innkeepers, so we're just giving each other hugs, and it's just like it was a really interesting moment of like camaraderie there. I really appreciated it. And then we went to PAX, and we got to visit the ONOG tournament with all the Hearthstone folks. Passed out a few flyers like, hey, come to this Fireside Gathering. It's going to be at a bar. It's 21 and over. It's free drinks and fun stuff to do. And
sign me up for that.
Yeah, it was a blast. And I think it was on Saturday night from 7 to 10, and we had 60 people show up to the event, which was crazy. That's my events have like 35, and it feels like a crowd. And having the exact same style of event with 60 folks, it felt like a party. It was awesome. Gave away some prizes. We had Hearthstone Cornhole. Which we had. Cornhole's a game from the Midwest,
right?
And it happens at tailgates or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like these 2 wooden ramps with holes in the middle, and you throw beanbags, and you try and throw the beanbags into the other team's like hole in the plywood. And what Scott did was he wrapped vinyl stickers of like Thrall and Rexar with holes in their face, and it was nice. Eagle face. And there were like beanbags with Steady Shot and Kill Command and Lava Burst, like all these face cards, and so it was a Eagle face game, and it was phenomenal. It was a hit. But yeah, I mean, do you guys have any specific questions about the Fireside or about the PAX East in general?
I
have a question about Fireside real quick. Let me this is going. So when I used to live in Las Vegas, we had one. I think it was something like I think it was Wednesday nights. We'd get like somewhere around like 10 to 20 people would just show up. Everybody bring their own device, and we'd play, and I loved it. I don't have anything like that here in Baton Rouge. And just for anyone listening at the show, if they want to get something like that started around their local area, what's the best way to get one started?
Ooh, that's exactly the kind of question I want to answer. I mean, I've already convinced John to hold his own Fireside, so now you're up on the plate. Tannen, I officially challenge you to hold your own Fireside Gathering. I mean, because there aren't any Fireside Gatherings in Baton Rouge, it's really up to the people. Fireside Gatherings program is the grassroots. It's not Blizzard top down, trickling down to and contacting people in all these cities. It's people that love Hearthstone in all these different cities getting up and talking to Blizzard. And one of the challenges they face right now is just getting people aware of the Fireside Gatherings program, letting them know that there is a trickle up. There is a grassroots movement that Blizzard's trying to promote. So if you want to get a Fireside Gathering going, go to the Fireside Gatherings website at firesidegatherings.com. It's like a battle.net sub site, and you can put in your event, give you all your details, who's invited, and then you give your email, and then you'll get an email saying Fireside requested, and then hopefully, if everything goes well, they'll say Fireside approved, and then you're officially like a Fireside. But we hear all these things about like the Fireside of the brewery, and we had the like Hearthstone Cornhole. These are pretty elaborate events, but if you, Tannen, were to hold a Fireside just at like wherever, a local cafe or, a bar or a restaurant or a local gathering space, you don't need fancy decorations. You don't need $600 worth of prizes. All you need is a couple people that like to play Hearthstone. and that is enough to be considered a fireside gathering in Blizzard's eyes.
Awesome. I'm gonna look into that, and I accept the challenge. We'll try to have one as soon as possible.
If you need any help, shoot me an email or reach out to me. I'm always happy to help.
Yeah, they're a lot of
that
fun.
will happen.
Oh yeah.
They're a lot of fun to organize. It just take some time. You gotta kind of find a decent venue that you can probably run about. Depending on how many people you get to come, can run some Wi-Fi without killing their network. That was one of the challenges I had at the very first Fireside Gathering I ran, right when Hearthstone was still in beta. In fact, I ran it at it was called Snow & Co. here in Kansas City, and they didn't have Wi-Fi that was really good enough. We could only fit about maybe 10 to 15 people on the network without it crashing, and we had probably 50 or 60 people show up at our first one. I had no idea how many people to expect at that one, but Hearthstone was very, very popular right then. Actually, this was just when it wasn't in beta. This was just when the mobile portion of Hearthstone got released. That's when it was.
Oh right.
Because everybody was bringing their phones and stuff like that to play. And then that's when we upgraded to the Google Fiber Space, and that's one that Sam went to, and we talked about at the previous show that he was on. That's how he got into Fireside Gatherings, was because of one that I had done at the Google Fiber Space. We had about, 70 or 80 people show up at that one? I don't remember the number. It was a pretty big crowd, though.
It was huge. There was parents and kids and
That's awesome.
Everyone in between. But
awesome.
if you're looking for knowledge or you're looking for resources on how to make your firesides better, particularly for cheap, there is a Hearthstone Innkeepers Facebook group. It requires a approval to join. But I mean, if you submitted a request, I can add you, or find somebody that or email the Fireside Gatherings website. Just shoot me an email hey, I'm interested in doing Fireside Gatherings. Can I get added to this Facebook group? Another big thing that Blizzard's trying to do with the Fireside Gatherings program is compile a compendium of tribal knowledge associated with innkeepers, because there's no real good database right now for things that people can try. There's an innkeepers, there's a Fireside Gatherings forum, I think, or you can look it up online. But right now the Facebook group is where it's at. Big heavy quotes is where it's at in terms of tribal knowledge about how to hold a fireside. So I'll if you're interested, I will get you in that Facebook group, and then we can sort of work from there.
We'll do that right after the show for sure.
Sounds good.
But yeah, I highly recommend at least trying to do one. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it pays off in the end. Unfortunately, I had to kind of retire from it myself, just because it can be a lot of work, and Sam can attest to that, and Sam does them better than I ever did anyway. So,
well, thank you very
much. I'm
much.
glad that we have a good one here in Kansas City still. So, anything else you want to talk about at PAX East? Anything that you saw that, I know that Blizzard didn't really have much of, they had a presence there, but it seemed like their booth was just merchandise and stuff like that. They didn't really show off anything game related.
Yeah, I mean, when I went into the PAX hangar, it was massive. It's as far as you can see. I don't know if you saw pictures from the event. As far as you can see is just booths and people. And the Blizzard booth was obviously just jam packed. They capped the line, I think, in the first 10 minutes of the site being opened. So I didn't even try to go through, to be honest. I just walked by and just was waves, hi. It was interesting. I don't really follow the pro esports scene in Hearthstone. So when I went to the booth, when I went to the Geico Onog booth, where all the tournament was happening, I was seeing all these gamers, cosplays walking over, and then I got closer and I started recognizing people, and that was a weird feeling. I had seen people's highlights, on Reddit or in the community, and I started recognizing all those folks, and that was a bizarre experience. If you ever go to PAX, if you ever decide to go to a PAX, get ready for that, because it's going to be a wash, and then you could it was really cool.
We need to get you out to BlizzCon one of these times,
I believe I'm going. I believe I'm going this year.
All right,
you're gonna enjoy it.
I can't wait. it's going to be a little bit challenge for coming from Kansas, but I hope to bring
gonna
my
be-
girlfriend as well, and we're gonna see if we can get a hotel room somewhere, or who knows what. We're gonna crash on somebody's floor.
I'll give you a word of
Yes, man.
advice. I'll give you a word of advice. Take it slow. It's very overwhelming. I had actually never been to any like Blizzard related thing. I'd never been to like a PAX or like not just Blizzard related, but like something like that of that kind of scale until I went to my first BlizzCon, and I was utterly blown away for the first like 6 hours. I just walked around with like my jaw on the floor. It was unbelievable.
I can't wait for that feeling personally.
Yeah,
oh my
it's good.
gosh.
Yeah, BlizzCon is like if you're blown away with PAX East and like meeting all of the people that you kind of recognize and things like that, BlizzCon is 20 times that. I've been to both, and they're both like great events, but BlizzCon is on a whole different level, especially if you love Blizzard games and follow all of that. So,
Can't wait.
yeah, but so let's move on to the next item news. We wanted to kind of talk about last week's Tavern Brawl. It got you. It was an interesting maneuver where it got you if you played and won, it got you an Ungoro pack instead of your normal classic pack. So you got a pack that you can't open yet. So I saw a lot of fake pack. People were saying on social media instead of fake news, I guess. But
Yeah.
but I was
I
wondering,
followed.
yeah, I was wondering what you guys thought about one this week's Tavern Brawl was kind of controversial to begin with because it was kind of weird mechanic. They did some hot fixes to it, but also I'm curious what your thoughts are on what the reward was for this week. Tannen, we'll go with you. Or
Yeah,
Sam, we'll
start
go
with
with you.
Tannen. No. That's
Yeah, I don't know who to send it to. John, I need you. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
I was just I think I'm mostly concerned that the Party Crasher is going to be a card in the Ungoro expansion. I just was like, wait, who, like on the turn 4 or turn 3 or whatever it was, it's like, wait, who is this? I was like, oh my god, is this going to be an Ungoro card? Oh boy, it's just like a 4-mana 3/5 that goes face every turn. But aside from that, I mean, I really enjoy like the Encounter at the Crossroads Tavern Brawl, and I was thrown off by the turn 3 surprise of the Party Crashers. Aside from that, I can't really say much else about the Tavern Brawl. I got my pack, and I think I called it quits. I think it was one of those where it's just like you got to get your reward and then get out. Right. I didn't actually play any games after the hotfix where it stopped continually spawning the 4-mana 3/5 Party Crashers and just spawned one sometimes. I heard that it was a little bit more manageable after that, but it was a struggle to do the minion trading like the classic Hearthstone play with these 3/5 taunts spawning every turn.
Yeah, Tannen, did you get to play after? Did you play after the hotfix or before?
Yeah, I only played after apparently because I only played when you got one around turn 3 or 4, and then you would kind of get one sometimes and it was dead, and then not all the time. Like I played a few games because I didn't win my first one, and I have multiple accounts on I have different servers, and so I just want to get my free pack because I'm a free to play player on most of the stuff, so I want to make sure that I get my packs, and it was weird because like I couldn't really figure out what was going on. I'm like, when does this guy show up and when does he not? And like, can I plan like next turn, is my opponent gonna have one or is he not gonna have one? So I was kind of unsure. I think the whole thing this week, not just the game itself, but the reward as well, like getting the pack that's a future pack that you can't open, would have gone over smoother had the Tavern Brawl itself been smoother. Like if there wasn't a hot fix involved, or just kind of like worked a little better, people have been like, oh, that's cute, I get to play this thing and I get a pack. But now you're like, some people might get aggravated playing the match because they're like, what's going on? This doesn't feel right. It feels really weird. And then I don't even get a prize technically. Like I have to wait to open my pack, because we're in a society that likes to be rewarded immediately, and people like their stuff as soon as possible. I would prefer an Ungoro pack. If they let me pick
Me too.
what pack I could have right now,
Absolutely.
I would prefer Ungoro. So I'm excited about it, getting a free one. Other than that, I think it's great. I love getting the Ungoro pack, but I think I can see where a lot of people are getting peeved. Like, I have a lot of friends that play this game, and they mostly play, just like casually, and then they play Tavern Brawl because it gets them their free pack, and it's fun. I'll admit, I play Tavern Brawl every week. I kind of look forward to the fun ones, and I can see where some people got a little ticked off from this week, but I think overall, if it would have been smoother, I think it would have just been better, obviously, because it would have just gone over smoother with everyone.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree with that. I hope that they continue doing Un'Goro packs in the Tavern Brawls up until it launches. Even maybe after. It might be one of those rewards, like, I was always kind of disappointed on the Tavern Brawls on always getting a classic pack, because I have had a full classic set for quite some time. But I also understand that there are people that are new to the game, and that is a good way of allowing newer players to get their collection up to speed, because the classic set is very important to get right off the bat. Because that's your core set. And that's where most of your cards in your deck are probably going to be coming from. And that's what you're going to be building from. But I'm hoping to see them do like more of this with the newer packs as well, especially now that they're moving to a full expansion 3 times a year, and no more adventure modes. So I think it's a big deal. But I also played like right before the hotfix, I guess. And it was awful to try to play that, because it basically came down to whoever got it first. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk about it. I kept seeing people putting up on Twitter like, "What is this week's Tavern Brawl? Like, what is going on?" And I was just like, I didn't even want to play. I was so hesitant to even try it out.
Yeah, it was because you have a completely random deck, and then they always went face, and I always thought that was weird because I thought it might also hit the minions, but it never did. It always just hit face, and it would spawn one every turn after like turn 2 or 3, and so you always keep getting them. So you always have these 3/5s that are always hitting face, and the game's over by like turn 5 or 6. It always depended on who got theirs first or who was able to kill the other ones first. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the big news of this week, which was the live stream reveal with Day 9, and Peter Whalen, Hearthstone lead designer for Journey to Un'Goro. It was on Friday, March 17th, and we got 11 new cards. And for you guys watching the videos, I did not have enough time to set up the cards on the overlay, so we won't be showing them to you, but we will be describing them. But first of all, did you guys get to watch? Either of you get to watch the live stream?
I did. I took my lunch break to watch it, and Peter and Sean, shout out to Day 9, Kansas City. Let's go. I thought they did a phenomenal job. They had a few production hiccups, but I mean it's fine. I think we're all used to that at this point. It didn't. I don't think it really took away from the core of the production, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Just good vibes, good attitudes all around.
Yeah, I got to catch a few minutes of it. I didn't get to sit down and watch the entire thing. I rely on Twitter to get like all the cards, obviously. But I will say this. I'm excited whenever Day 9 gets involved in stuff like this. Like you said, just good vibes all around. This guy should be like a leader of men. Like I'm just fully convinced. Like the attitude that he has towards these things, like just the overall positivity. I mean, you could have never heard of Hearthstone and watched him reveal these cards, and you would be interested. Like watching and listening to him. He is just such a it's almost like the peak motivational speaker talking about Hearthstone. Like this guy is just great. I love him.
Yeah, I've been watching Day 9 since his StarCraft days, especially his StarCraft 2 daily days, and he just has that personality of like you just want to hug the guy. Basically, like he's so positive and just. But he asks like really good questions too, and I know Twitch chat was kind of getting bent out of shape a little bit with that, with the types of questions that he was asking. But I thought it was very engaging and very interesting, and it wasn't just the dry, memes that like some other people would do, and things like that. He's very just genuine, and is just a good conversationalist, and I really enjoyed it. But you guys want to jump into the cards here that were revealed and talk about them?
I would love to.
So the first card that we have is, if this would open up on me, is Tar Creeper.
Tar Creeper,
yeah. It's a neutral common, 3 mana. It's an elemental, so we've learned a little bit about elementals today. We're not going to talk about the cards that were revealed today, by the way. But it's a 1/5 with taunt that has +2 attack during your opponent's turn. This is the first card, I believe, that we've seen that does something on your opponent's turn. Tannen, I'm going to start with you on your thoughts on this card.
You're going to see this card in competitive play. This one is pretty pushed. It's a 3/5 taunter for 3 mana for all intents and purposes. It does have some diminishing returns. Like, you can't attack well with this card, but if this is the kind of card you're looking for, like if you wanted to put something like Sinjin Shieldmaster in your deck, Tosh Dingo, as a lot of people refer to him as, and believe me, I have played that card in tournament settings before. That card is like borderline constructed playable. It's almost good enough. This card is a mana cheaper, a full mana cheaper. So if you need this kind of effect on this part of your curve, this is a card you could see making it into, we might not have Reno decks, obviously, whenever, the dinosaurs and stuff come out. But if you need that, like, a neutral, good, just very good way to not get run over for the first 3 turns of the game, you're going to see this card kind of creep up in play. Yeah, I did that on purpose.
So, Sam, what do you think about Tar Creeper?
Oh, so, I mean, I consider myself a little bit more of a casual player. And so approaching this, it's even a casual player can see that this is a defensive card. I mean, this is a card that you're going to put into your decks to protect yourself against early game aggression. Or, it's just a good 3 mana, 3/5 taunt if you want it. I'm interested to see, how the +2 attack is going to work. I'm sort of wondering about what the edge cases that are going to happen with the one attack. I can't remember the
Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin, maybe we could see
and
that
wild.
in Wild.
Yep.
The Steward of Darkshire or something. The 3 mana 3/3 gives him Divine Shield. I mean, there's a lot of interesting deck building that can be done with this 1 attack creature. There gets a lot of there are plenty of cards that give 1 attack cards buffs, but then it goes into a 3. It gives +2 attack. So I'm interested to see where that ends up.
Yeah.
Also, the card art's great. I can't wait to see the golden version. Just probably like tar dripping down, and can't wait.
Yeah. This is, to me, this is a very interesting card because like it's 1 mana cheaper than Tazdingo, and people run that, and I can definitely see people running this in any kind of like, if the meta is very aggro, like heavy, this is the Sludge Belcher of this set, in my opinion. It's going to be a staple to defend against aggro. If aggro heavy is there. If it's not, then, then whatever. But the other thing I like about it is it's not like, because it's on your opponent's turn, it also protects you on getting it stolen by a priest running the guy that takes 2 or less from you.
Cabal Shadow Priest?
Yeah, the Shadow Priest. Cabal Shadow Priest. So that's nice as well. I do like the design of, it gets the plus on your opponent's turn. I think it's pretty cool that we're seeing cards kind of like this. So, yeah. I think it's a very promising card. And we're going to see it a lot. So, Tannen, can you tell us about the next card?
Yeah, I'm going to try to pronounce this. It's Golakka Crawler. I think that's how you say Golakka Crawler.
Sounds good to me.
Like this card is a walking meme, by the way. It's a 2 mana rare. It's a beast. It's a 2/3 for 2 mana. But it says Battle Cry, destroy a pirate and gain +1/+1. So this is one of those things. This feels like this card was interjected into the set to kind of deal with what people were complaining about so much in competitive play over the last few months. You know, there's patches everywhere, there's small time Buccaneer everywhere, but like now we're seeing that kind of taken back. Like not every deck is that anymore, but we're getting this card that would have been great against those decks. You know, you could have played this to kill a pirate and probably be able to attack into another one, you know, which would have been amazing. You know, some streamers that actually kind of jokingly said there was going to be a card like this in this set, and now there actually is. So Blizzard is not without a sense of humor, it seems, when it comes to this card. I don't think this is constructed playable. I don't want to live in a world where it really is. You know, I think about Hungry Crab.
We lived in this world where it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And it didn't exist in that world.
Yeah. Like, kind of thankfully, because like I didn't want to have to start putting Golakka Crawler or whatever it is in all of my decks. But I gotta say this, I love seeing that Blizzard has a sense of humor, and I just love seeing the memes when it comes to this card.
What do you think about it, Sam?
I think it serves a similar role as Eater of Secrets, Big Game Hunter. It's Hemet Nessingwary. Gosh, I wish we had Hemet in this next expansion. It would be so good.
Be broken.
It'd be super broken because every single card is like a piece, it looks like. But I mean, Golakka Crawler, I don't think it's meant to be played in every single deck. I mean, if you're, I think Peter's explanation of it on the live stream, if you're frustrated by losing to pirates, you put Golakka Crawler in your deck. It's same thing. It's like if you're tired of losing to Secret Paladin, you need to put Eater of Secrets in your deck. But what I think this is going to do, what I hope it's going to do, is deter people from playing pirate decks for fear of the fact that people may be playing Golakka Crawler. In the same way that people would fear putting 7 attack minions in their deck because they get eaten up by the Big Game Hunter. Or they would be, you know, cautious about putting a bunch of secrets in their deck because they're worried about Eater of Secrets. In practice, I don't know that this is actually going to happen, but it's at least we have the tool, you know. Right. You can do analysis on your own ladder climb, and if you notice that you're going up against a lot of pirates, you could put this in your deck, maybe improve your win rates a little bit.
Tannen, do you think people that play pirate decks are going to be scared of this card?
No, I think I would actually prefer my opponent to have cards like this in their deck. Because here's the thing: if I'm playing a very powerful deck and you're playing a deck that has this like card that's a counter to it, but it's just not a good card. You know, what happens when you do draw this in your opening hand? Like, do you mulligan it? Do you not mulligan it? You know, do you keep it? You know, if you don't know I'm pirate or not, and then you just have this like underpowered card overall in your deck. It's a 2/3 for 2. Let's be real. So I'd be pretty happy to see people playing this, even if I am playing pirates. But I will say that it does lead to some interesting things for like say tournament play, especially if you're in like a small field and you can, you know, narrow down what all your opponents are going to play. And you're like, well, I know every person's bringing Pirate Warrior and I don't want to ban that deck against like my lineup. Then this is a card you could possibly see kind of like move into some decks. So I think there's a chance that we start seeing it show up.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. The only thing I wish that this card would have had is the art would have had like a knife or something like that ready to stab the pirates, you know, just in its claw, just have a knife there. That's the only thing it's the only thing I would have really liked to see.
Where did the crab even
like,
get a knife?
Just like eye patches hanging from its claws.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, because let's be real, this is a kill small time Buccaneer or / patches card.
Yeah. There's just like a peg leg in the corner of the artwork sitting over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that this is one of those cards. It's just it's not going to see I don't think it's going to see a ton of play. It's a tech card, if anything. I don't think you're going to see it on the ladder very much. If anything, I'd be interested to see it in tournaments. I think that would be interesting, but I don't know if that's gonna happen or not. But then again, we did see what was the card played at PAX East that Disguised Toast was playing? The one that kills Draxus outright.
A Sacrificial Pact.
Sacrificial Pact. Yeah, we did see that. So maybe we'll see this. Sam, do you want to talk about the next card?
This is probably my favorite card released in the set so far. Elise the Trailblazer, a 5-mana 5/5 revamp of Elise Starseeker, the 4-mana 3/5. She's back in Ungoro, and she's apparently cutting through a lot of vegetation. Her battle cry is to shuffle a sealed Ungoro pack into your deck.
What? What?
Yeah, this card's crazy.
What?
What is that? Explain how that happens.
So
how do you shuffle a pack into your deck?
So the pack is represented as a 2-mana spell. And when you draw this spell, you can play it for 2 mana, obviously. And it gives you 5 cards. It shows you the pack opening animation. It's like the 5 cards and like the star formation. Flips them over. The innkeeper says, legendary or, epic or whatever. It goes into your hand. You get 5 cards into your hand. But Elise is very lucky. I think, I don't know the exact stats, but I think on average, you're going to get like 1 legendary and you're guaranteed to get an epic from the Un'Goro set. But they don't have to be from your class. Again, this is like same thing as opening up. Like you can get legendaries from any other class. You can get cards from any other class. So the flavor in this card is insane. It's one of those cards that it's going to feel really good to play. And it's like an amazing Kabbalist's tome if you can draw it and play it. It's a lot of value for 2 mana. 2 mana, draw 5, but not go into fatigue. So it's an exciting card to play. I can't wait to open up an Elise. Oh, by the way, I think you can get an Elise in the sealed Un'Goro pack, so you can start the process all over again.
Oh, jeez.
So I can't wait to see that on some highlight somewhere. But I can't wait to like open up this card in a pack and just like find a deck and just put it in there. It's like a 5 mana 5/5. It's not a bad card, and the effect is so cool if you can get it to go off. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I love the card concept wise. I think I don't think it's going to be a staple in every deck or anything like that. I had this discussion on our Well Met Facebook group. Someone was comparing it to Ancient of Lore, which was a very powerful card. At 7 mana, you got a 5/5, and then you got to draw 2 cards from your deck. But here you've got a 5 mana 5/5, technically a 7 mana 5/5 draw. You get 5 cards. You don't draw 5 cards from your deck. You get 5 random cards from the set. But it's a delayed draw because the pack goes into your deck and then you might draw it later. It might be the last card that you draw from your deck. But I don't know. I don't think it's as powerful as Ancient of Lore. I don't think it's even close. Like, Ancient of Lore is one of those cards where, like, drawing 2 cards from your deck, knowing and building your deck in a certain way, you've only got 30 cards in it, you're going to be drawing something that you absolutely know you need and that you've built your deck around. This, you're going to possibly get stuff that isn't great. You might get 5 duds. You might get 1 really awesome card that could win you the game. But with it being delayed, you don't know when or if that's ever going to happen. Whereas if you drop an Ancient of Lore, it's immediate. And so I think it's one of those cards where it's going to find its way in some control decks, because it's a great control card where you want to have more cards later on in the game than your opponent. So I think it's going to find its way in those, but I don't think it's going to find its way in every deck like Ancient of Lore, like a neutral Ancient of Lore would have. What do you think, Tannen?
I'm pretty excited about this card. I gotta agree with Sam. This is probably my favorite card I've seen so far in the new set. Just from the competitive standpoint, I think this card is good. Don't get me wrong. I think this card's gonna get played a lot. A 5/5 for 5 is good enough. Body, it's not like the best, stats we've ever seen, but it's like you said, it is a delayed draw. But I can't wait because it's gonna happen this year. It's some big point. It's gonna be like some HTC. It's gonna be at BlizzCon.
It's gonna be a babbling book.
Now. I can hear it now. He top decked the pack, like right at like the last possible turn. Like he needs the pack, and then he needs like one of 6 cards to get him out of the situation from Un'Goro, and then like they top deck it, and then they get the exact card they need. And I can't wait for it to happen because this is the new babbling book. Like this is the new card that it's gonna start happening to you on ladder. It's gonna start happening to you on tournaments, and it's really gonna piss you off at times when they get like the right card in the wrong situation or whatever for you. So I'm a big fan of this card. I like seeing them push design space and do like new things because, the last couple of sets we haven't seen too many like brand new game breaking things going on, and in this set they are definitely doing that.
Right. Yeah. So on the power level of cards, where do you rank this one then, Tan? And do you rank this one pretty high, or?
Of the ones we've seen so far, sure. Like I think this is one of the more powerful cards they've shown so far, just in a vacuum. But I don't think I agree with you. I don't think you're going to see this in like every deck or whatever. But I definitely think you're going to see this get played quite a bit in the decks that are looking to go long. The decks that can afford to play 5 drops, 6 drops, 7 drops, and that can go deep into their deck. Because here's the thing: if you play this card, you need to draw the pack. Like that needs to be something that happens. Otherwise, you're just playing a 5/5 for 5, and we should just be playing like Stranglethorn Tiger. Something that actually has text at that point.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Like this was the coolest effect, in my opinion, of the cards that have been revealed so far, and it makes me excited to see what they're going to do with the rest of the set, and if they're going to keep pushing boundaries like this, Like we saw Tar Creeper earlier, where it does something on your opponent's turn, and now we're seeing a pack get shuffled into your deck.
Yeah.
And they're really pushing the boundaries of what a digital card game could do, and I think it's pretty cool. Going on to the next card, it's the Hunter Legendary, Swamp King Dread. He's a 7 mana. 9 attack, 9 health. He's a beast. After your opponent plays a minion, attack it. This is, in my opinion, the best Hunter Legendary that we have, that we've ever had.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. No. That's like imagine if Call of the Wild was still 8 mana.
Yeah.
Or if they ever made what's the big dinosaur that King Crush? Imagine if they ever made King Crush like 8 mana now instead of worthless like he is now. Like this would be an amazing card on curve.
Right.
Like Hunter could have a ridiculous amount of curve, especially late game. Like if he started playing like Stranglethorn Tiger turn 5 or something like that, and then or even starting like turn 3 with Animal Companion, and then I can't think of what a Hunter has turn 4 right now. Maybe Infested Wolf, but that's not that great. But then you go like Stranglethorn Tiger to Savannah Highmane to Swamp King Dread to whatever their 8 mana is going to be. It used to be Call of the Wild. But even Call of the Wild, like turn 9, is still with this is still ridiculous. Like I think this is a card that Hunter really needed. And just seeing this on stream, crushing a bunch of tiny Murlocs, was the saddest thing that I have seen in my life. but no, I really think this is the best Hunter Legendary in the game that we have had ever. I think Hunters are going to definitely be playing this in any mid-range Hunter deck that's created from here on out in Standard. What do you think, Sam?
It wins the best name of a card that we've gotten released so far, for sure. We have had, I really like this card, but we've had bad experiences with potentially amazing Hunter Legendaries that cost 7 mana in the past with Gozrilla. So it's like, it doubles his attack we can. I hope that this card is enough to put Hunter back on the map. The 9/9 is extremely generous for the effect. I think it could have been like a 7/9 and been just as good. It's the ideal scenario that you're going to be playing it in is you play it on turn 7 and then they dump their whole hand of Murloc Tiny Fins and then you just like win the game. I'm wondering, is 9 health enough to deal with on the if on your opposing board, like the existing board presence? Like, is that something that we're gonna have to be looking into? How are spells gonna be on this? Because it's kind of like, Well, I guess there is nothing really that we've experienced like this before. So it's kind of hard to gauge. I mean, again, it's another extremely fun card to play. And it requires your opponent to. It gives your opponent a choice on how to deal with the card. Do I play my aggressively statted minions? Do I try and adapt one of my dinosaurs to become poisonous and kill it with one card? Do I use a spell on it? Do I use a couple spells on it? Interesting gameplay, but at 7 mana, 7 mana for a 9/9, and then if they don't kill it, you get to hit them for 9 the next turn, which is so threatening. So it's like this pretty much like mega taunt free, 7 mana 9/9. I'm assuming that this is enough to bring Hunter back, but I'm also kind of hesitant because of Godzilla and cards like that. Like we've seen, like on paper they're amazing, but in practice not so much.
I feel like this card is the reason why Sylvanas is no longer going to be in standard. I really feel like that's the this design of a card is the reason why Sylvanas is going away. That's my opinion on it. But Tannen, what do you think about this card? Is this the best Hunter Legendary in the game, or are you pretty meh about it?
I think you're pretty right. The bar hasn't been set very high in the past, I will admit. You guys have definitely hit on that. I'm gonna have to disagree with one small thing, Sam, that I don't think this is the card to put Hunter back on the map. Like a 7 mana card probably isn't it, though I do think this card is good. I think you're right. I think the card is very powerful. 9/9 for 7 mana is good. The ability seems great. You kind of stole what I was gonna say. It matters what no. It just matters what happens with adapt in this set. Like let's say there's a lot of adapt creatures minions that start showing up in the games, and poisonous starts showing up a lot, and your opponent's like, oh, play Swan King Dread, I got it, I got him, this guy's gonna rule the board, and they're just like, play this 2-drop, adapt into poisonous, kill your guy, and then like progress my board more. Like you probably just lost, but there's some other things you can do here. Obviously it's a 9/9 for 7. You can play it as early as turn 6 with coin. That's very, very powerful. There's also Tundra Rhino, which has actually been kind of showing up in some Hunter decks a lot lately. Giving this guy haste on turn 7 is really scary. Hasting 9/9 is a very, very good card. King Crush would be great at 7 mana. And the beast decks are already a thing. I think it's pretty much where you have to go. If you're going to play Hunter right now, you need to play like some synergistic beast deck. And this is a card that, you're going to see this card. People are going to be playing it. It's going to show up in ladder. I don't know about competitive play, but we'll have to see the way like everything kind of works out. The format might slow down a little bit here. So if it does, this card's going to be good.
All right, Sam, can you tell us about the next card that we have that was revealed? Arcanologist.
Arcanologist. A mage common, I think. Is it common?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going off of memory here. A mage common, 2 mana, 2/3. Mage minion with a battle cry.
Draw
a
secret
secret from your deck.
Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting card. It has echoes of Mad Scientist.
Oh God, I'm having some PTSD flashbacks
here. But not as good. Not as good.
Not as good because it doesn't give you the free 3 mana, but it has the unexpected advantage of giving you the opportunity to play this whenever you'd like. If you could, you could play a vapor, like Mad Scientist would pull Vaporize with Murloc Tinyfin on the other side of the board, and they get that for free. But with Arcanologist, you get, at the expense of paying the 3 mana, you get to choose, you get to thin your deck, which has proven to be extremely powerful in the past with Mysterious Challenger, with Patches, with Finja. So the pulling something from your deck, something specific from your deck, has proven to be extremely powerful in the past, and I think that a lot of folks have underestimated that ability to specifically pull stuff from your deck. Obviously, it doesn't have the immediate impact on like turn 2 as Mad Scientist would have, but I think that while we're comparing this card to like one of the best mage 2-drops ever.
Just one of the best cards ever.
One of the best cards ever.
Cards
it's a card that pulls something specific from your deck. I think we lose sight when we're talking about Mad Scientist, but I think this card is going to be really good in some decks. I think that I don't think that it should be discounted because it's not as good as Mad Scientist.
Yeah, Tannen, what
Absolutely.
kind of decks do you see this being played as? Do you think this is a viable card for Freeze Mage, or do you think this will go into something else?
I don't know if it's a viable card for Freeze Mage, okay? Because like you don't always want to draw the secret with this. You know, like you would be replacing like Novice Engineer, and while it's a bigger body, I think you would rather draw a random card from your deck more often than just drawing a specific secret. Now, here's the thing. So there's a couple pros and cons of this card and some decks that you're going to see. They've printed a few cards over the last year that interact with secrets. There's like Medivh's Valet, excuse me, but you're on fire. That guy that deals, 3, yeah. Excuse me, sir, but you are on fire. Yeah, that guy. But it deals 3 damage whenever you have a secret in play. There's also, it's like Cabal Cadet, I think is the name of it. The 1-drop. It's a 2/1.
Cabal Lackey.
Cabal Lackey. It lets you
There
play
you
a
go.
secret for free. These are cards that you're going to see in tandem with this card as well. There's like some older ones as well that do some stuff. They either get pumped or they make secrets free for this turn. So here's the thing. Those decks have always been like people have tried to play them. The hardest part of that deck is drawing a secret, right? And this card ensures you have a secret to get value off your card because you can turn to this. There's a 4/3 you can play for 3 mana. It's from the classic set. I just blanked on the name of it. That allows you to play a secret for free this turn that you
Kirin
can kind
Tor
of like.
Mage.
Kirin Tor Mage. You
Kirin
can
Tor
kind of
Mage, thank
like,
you.
yeah, you could kind of curve into it. And this is a strong curve, like a 2/3 into a 4/3 into a free secret. It's a very strong curve. So those are all pros for playing these cards in your deck. And yeah, that deck sounds fine, right? Here's the con. You have to play secrets in your deck. And they're just not good. Like, I mean, they're just not good cards overall. Especially when you're going to mulligan and draw 2 secrets in your opening hand. You just lost. Like, you're just never beating a single deck when you draw 2 secrets in your opening hand. So it does come at a deck building cost, but when it works, it's going to be very powerful for the fact that your curves are going to be great. You're going to get great synergy, free mana, which is obviously the most insane thing you can do in the game. Like the reason Mad Science is so good is it's a 2 mana card that's really a 5 mana card. It's a 5, you get to spend 5 mana on turn 2 pretty much. And like Sam said, people have classically underrated thinning of your deck, like taking cards out of your deck so they're not there anymore and getting something specific, because this is as close to a tutor that we get in Hearthstone. Something go get a specific card out of your deck. And this is the closest we get to it. And those cards are traditionally very powerful.
Right. I don't know if they're as powerful in Hearthstone as they are in Magic the Gathering, though.
Yeah.
To be honest, like, especially when you're talking about like secrets in general, like depending on what kind of deck it goes into, like let's say for example Vaporize or Mirror Entity becomes the secret of choice for whatever deck it gets popular with this in it, then everybody is going to know that you just drew a Mirror Entity and played it. Mm-hmm. Because that's kind of the way these kind of decks go. So I feel like it would have to be in a deck that you'd have possibly multiple secrets in, but also those decks with mages don't seem to do extremely well.
Yeah.
Except for like Freeze Mage when you're playing Ice Armor and Ice Block.
Yeah.
Because those are secrets that are protecting you from dying, which is the whole point of Freeze Mage. Because you want to protect yourself from dying early, so that you can win late game. I don't know. Like, I feel like it can go in like a Tempo Mage, if there is a Tempo Mage style. We haven't seen a lot of cards yet. We've seen some. We've seen the Mage Legendary that's coming out for this set. It's a pretty good card, but I don't think it really has anything to do with secrets. If we get a really good secret this set, I could see it potentially being pretty good.
I mean, I'm going to build the deck. I'm going to play around with it and try it out. It's going to happen, and I'm going to be like, yeah, when it works, it's really good, but it's going to disappoint me overall, like
Right.
most mage cards do, and I'm just going to be sad and just want to play with Jaina more.
Yeah, and everybody's just going to play Freeze Mage because
Yeah, exactly.
Freeze Mage still is not nerfed and won't be anytime soon, I'm sure. But the next card, Tannen, do you want to take that one? The Paladin card that was revealed?
Yeah, this paladin unplayable called Dino Size. I
disagree with it being
I'm sure you
unplayable.
will. Yeah.
But
All right,
go ahead.
So it's an 8 mana spell that says set of minions attack and health to 10. So this is an 8 mana card that immediately makes one of your small time recruits or anything you want to, anything you got, one of your little 1/1s into a 10/10. So, I mean, like, this is a pretty powerful card. You know, for 8 mana, you're getting 20 stats practically on the board and kind of out of nowhere. I'm not sure I'd want to have this card in my deck because it's fighting in a slot with Tyrion, along Paladin, which I think I would rather the Tyrion card in this spot. But I can see myself losing to this card more than once in the future. So I think this is a card that's going to show up. JR, you really disagreed with me, so I want to hear what you have to say.
I think this card is undervalued. Like, I think the community is undervaluing this card.
Okay, fair.
I think it's gonna be used, and I think it's gonna be a fairly popular card. And the big thing about it is if you can find something with Wind Fury, like this card is amazing.
Dear Lord,
with Wind Fury.
God.
Right.
His head just exploded, by the way. So
Right.
we need to clean up at Sam's house.
Like if you can get like any kind of effect, like think about it, you're just setting the attack and health to a 10/10, and you're doing it to any card. Imagine a 10/10 Tyrion. I mean, granted, it's not, you're spending 8 mana to give you 4 more stats, so that's probably not going to happen, but you have a potential 10/10 with Divine Shield and Taunt at that point, which probably won't be because he will probably have his Divine Shield taken away by then.
I mean,
but
with that
but
argument,
anything,
if you still have a Tyrion around the next turn, you probably won. But
Right.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right, but if it's got like Wind Fury, if it's got Charge, like putting it on a 2/1 Bluegill Warrior in your Murloc Paladin deck,
Okay,
and
that's
you have
good.
a 10/10, on turn 10 you have a 10/10 charge, like you can put it on a 1/1 boar, on turn 9 and have a 10. Like there are a lot of effects that this can be tied with, and I think I think once people figure out like which cards this will really fit and go with, like I think a lot of people are thinking, oh, I'm just gonna put on my little 1/1 dude. I think it's gonna go on cards that have like a special effect on it already to make that card immensely more powerful.
That's fair. I will say I didn't think about it with Bluegill Warrior, and that's pretty good. Blizzard has been kind of stepping back from printing stuff with Charge in Hearthstone, and we're not seeing that much. But maybe we'll just see like Face Paladin, all these like Charge cards that can, pair with Dino Size to just really get them.
So Sam, what do you think about Dino Size? Is this your favorite card ever?
I like the card art a lot. I think it's fantastic, and Peter said that the golden animation is going to be great. I think that it's an amazing tool. Picking it up off of Ivory Knight might be phenomenal, depending on your situation, and it heals you for 8, which is it's significant. Additionally, I think it provides some very interesting opportunities for the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan set with the tri-class cards. Picking up being able to pick up a Dino Size off of a Grime Street Informant might be very interesting. I think the dream scenario is the warrior plays Ali Armorsmith and then plays Dino Size and hits face and gets 10 armor. It's one of these cards that I don't think people are going to see coming because it's going to get discovered off of some mechanic, and it's going to change the entire game. As for putting it in your deck baseline, I agree. I think that there are other 8-drops to consider. I think that having something on board is too big of an if some of the time, and it's just. But again, we have to weigh the options. Personally, I can't wait to play my Grim Patron Dino Size deck and have the giant Grim Patron that summons a Big Daddy Grim Patron that summons all the little Grim Patrons. And there's a lot of fun deck experimentation. Don't laugh at me.
I'm trying to keep a straight face right now. I'm trying really hard.
Anyway, I'm gonna ruin someone's day on Wild Ladder here as soon
I
as
lose
this
at this
comes
kind
out.
of stuff all the time, JR. It's not okay. It's not okay.
Well, anyway, if I hope that this card can create these experiences where it's like either it's like this amazing win condition that is totally ridiculous and requires absolutely huge RNG, or oh my gosh, I can't believe he pulled Dino Size off of Ivory Knight and then healed for 8 and then hit me in the face for 10. Can't believe it. I look forward to the fun stories and highlights Dino Size is going to provide.
You know, Sam, the next Fireside Gathering here in Kansas City, if we do another show match, I'm gonna play a Dino Size deck.
I can't wait. Oh my gosh, you better, man. Yeah, I'll put you on the spot. I'll pull up the podcast and be like, listen, JR said this right now. You got to throw Dino Size in your deck. Take out Tyrion, JR.
Dino Size and Bluegill Warrior. It's gonna be Murloc Paladin Dino-sized.
Wow.
And
Maybe you'll win your first game at our firesides.
That's asking a lot. That's asking a lot. I will say, Sam made a good point about Ivory Knight here. From now on, when someone Ivory Knights you and they gain 8, you should be very scared. Like you're getting Tyrion or you're getting Dino Size. It's never going to be good.
Or you're getting Lay on Hands.
Which all Lay on Hands or Dino Size.
Yeah, they're all really bad for you. Like you just died to all those cards.
Yep. So, anyway, the next card that we have is the Priest Common, Tortolin Shellraiser. Say that 3 times fast. I'm not gonna try. It's the 4 mana Priest card. It's a 2/6 to attack 6 health, taunt, death rattle, give a random friendly minion +1/+1, which is one of the most priest things ever.
Yeah.
But Tannen, I'm going to ask you on what your opinions are on this priest card.
This card's great. Like I think you're going to see it in tournament play. You're going to see it on ladder. It's okay. So let's start from the beginning. It's a priest card. Does it have a big butt? Yep, we're good. It checked all the boxes. It's got a lot of toughness, so that's a good thing. It's a defensive card early in the game. Priest is losing some of its options going forward. Dragon Priest is not going to be as good as it was. You're losing some dragons. Azure Drake's going away, and some other cards that are going to be rotating out are not there anymore. So you kind of have to move away from the dragon-centric thing. And other than that, Priest doesn't really have an identity because there's no more Reno, and there's going to be like no more dragon. So you need a new identity from Priest, and this card is going to like step right in and kind of take over some of the stuff. 2 power, it's not a lot, but Priest doesn't really need that early in the game. They just need to survive. This thing can take a couple hits and then kind of help the next minion or the minion that came before it kind of clean up whatever's left over. So I think this card's great, and I'd be pretty excited to see Priest still be competitive in the next year, but do something different other than Dragon Priest.
So do you think this will play with the quest that Priest has? Are you excited about playing these quests with Priest?
No, I'm not a fan of quests in general. Though we will get to another one later that I'm a little more excited about. Just a little bit of spoiler. Don't want to ruin it too much. But you heard my opinion on quests before. I think it's a waste of a card in your deck, especially the Priest one. I would rather just play good cards all the time and not have to have that card in my opening hand.
Okay. Sam, what do you think about this card? What do you think about the interaction with the quest that Priest has, where you play X amount of death rattles to get the Priest Legendary that ends up giving you 40 health?
I mean, as far as the quest goes, when we first got it, we didn't have any of these crazy death rattle Priest cards that are coming out in the Angora set. So we're all just like, what do I even play? I mean, what's gonna get me to this late? What's gonna get me to this turn 5 when I play Amara, Warden of Hope? Like, what's gonna get me there? What's gonna cause me to not lose the game? And I think the 4 mana 2/6 is a great addition with taunt. But I must say, with the 2 attack stat line, I mean, it's priests are gonna have to choose to not play Shadow Word Horror in their decks. I mean, like, the 2 attack is pretty inconsequential. I think I'm just glad it has the health, as Tannen said. If it was like a 2/5, I don't know if I could deal with that. But again, giving the +1/+1, I don't even think that it's that big of a deal. Like, that's not a gigantic death rattle. I think there's like a 1 mana 1/1 Zealot Initiate or something like that, or like Faceless Zealot. Yeah, it does the same thing, but it's 1 mana. So it's not like a significant effect. I think that it was I think that it was quest pusher material.
Right.
It has a death rattle. It could be like death rattle, give a thumbs up, and it would still go into it would go into the quest deck. I'm excited to see these. I can't wait to see these quest decks because I think the quests play a lot like Cthulhu decks or things like that, where it's very clear what your opponent's going to try to do. Like Priest is like, I'm going to play some Death Rattle minions, enjoy, and it's up to you as a player to stop them or at least like kill them before they can get back to 40 health.
Right.
And this card is just like one step on the way to finding Amara.
Yeah. Tannen, I want to ask you, what do you think this like? Where do you think Priest is going to be with Journey to Un'Goro? Like you said, Dragon Priest is not going to be as good. The dragons are kind of going away. What type of decks is Priest going to play, and why are they going to play this card in those decks?
Well, I mean, you're going to be defensive just because that's what your class identity is, and this card, kind of slots in that immediately. But, the more we talk about it, I know I give the Priest quest like kind of a hard time. I kind of, downplay it a lot. I think that's going to be one of the identities of Priest going forward. It's going to kind of slot into the Reno deck feel of
with Reno going away.
Yeah, like with Reno going away, it's
Reno-like.
going to slot. Yeah, it's going to slot into that feel of like the control deck that you have to run down before it gets its namesake card. Because here's the thing: if the Priest deck can survive long enough to actually do its quest, and you're an aggro deck, you are dead. Like the game is over. So it has that feeling where it's like I need to kill my opponent before they Reno. Now I need to kill my opponent before they get this quest, but they just keep playing these cards that just stick around and do stuff when they die. The thing is, are we going to have enough good death rattles early enough in the game to survive? Like Sam had said, this one feels like death rattle push. Like there's like, hey, like we need something. I really liked the give a thumbs up comment. That was funny. But if we get one more good death rattle, I think you're going to see N'Zoth Priest decks quite possibly with the quest. I think N'Zoth is like one of the biggest winners out of this set so far.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we're gonna see, like, I think the best Priest deck is definitely gonna be Reno style. Like Kazakus is just too good. Priest is gonna be able to use it. Priest is gonna have the Reno like effect with the quest that they're gonna be able to complete fairly early, I think, with depending on what other death rattle cards we get. And you're going to see N'Zoth in that deck as well. Like, it's going to be a crazy, like, N'Zoth Reno Priest. And I think it's going to be a really good deck, and it's going to be a very scary deck.
Agreed.
Yeah, depending on what else we get. But I think Priest does have the tools to already get there from what's been revealed. So moving on, we've got 4 cards left. Sam, can you tell us about this Rogue Legendary?
Next, or the Rogue Legendary of the set is Sherazin Corpse Flower. Second coolest name behind Swamp Queen Dread. It's a 5 mana 4/3.
4
mana 5/3 minion. There we go. 4 mana 5/3 minion, and it reads Death Rattle. Go dormant. And we'll get to that in a second. But if you play 4 cards in a single turn as a rogue, it comes back to life. It returns. So what it means by going dormant is if you played the Karazhan Adventures, there was like the Dorothy from like Wizard of Oz type thing where it's like it's a permanent on your board. It has like the weird outline, and then the minions on your right have a thing, minions on your left have a thing. It basically just turns into like this cute little seed pod with its eyes just like beady eyes like staring out. And it doesn't have any stats, just stays on the board. And whenever you play a card, a leaf emerges or a leaf lights up. And if you light up all 4 leaves, cool. And it comes back. It's a really cool effect. I think it's a fun card. It kind of reminds me of Skeleton Knight as just like sticky death rattle minion. I think the flavor is definitely there. I think that people are going to want to be playing like the poison plant leaf rogue cards, and that's going to be like a fun archetype. I don't know if it's going to be competitive. I mean, 4 mana 5/3, aggressively statted, but I can imagine it's going to be using its death rattle quite a bit because it's probably going to die a lot. I can't. I want to see a rogue player who puts Sharazin Corpse Flower in his deck and N'Zoth, revive the Sharazin Corpse Flower a bunch of times, play N'Zoth, and then have their board fill up with a bunch of permanent minions that don't leave, and then so they suddenly realize that, oh my gosh, I can only play one minion a turn when they're in their top decking scenario. But aside from that, like I'm not feeling too creative with this card. I feel like it's fun. But I can't really find, aside from like Miracle Rogue or cards the decks that could manage to play 4 cards in a single turn, I can't really imagine a deck that would take advantage of this. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm curious what you think, Tannen.
I gotta agree with Sam on pretty much every point that he made. Other than Miracle Rogue, which is pretty much the only Rogue deck we have left now that Small Time Buccaneer is gone. That you're going to jump through hoops to make this card good. It does give you another card to kind of dump your hand to. You have Questing Adventurer, you have Ebony Van Cleef, now you have Sharazin as well. I will say this, I like the flavor of this card a lot as well, Sam, because all I can think of is Feed Me Seymour, like Little Shops of Horror.
Yep.
That's all I see when I see this card. And it's just waiting to get a few more drops of blood. I can't wait to the animation. I'm going to play this card just for the animation because it sounded really, really cool. At 5/3 for 4 mana, like you said, the stats aren't amazing. It gets traded into by most 2-drops, if not the 3-drop that's happened, or gets knocked down by most weapons. So you're gonna have to go through hoops to make this card good.
Yeah, and it's one of those cards that I don't know, it's a cool concept. I really like the concept,
for sure.
But the playing 4 cards in a turn to reactivate a 5/3 again just does not feel good. No. Like playing the 4/5/3 to begin with just doesn't feel good. And then to play 4 cards just to bring it back, it just doesn't, it feels worse. And I'm just not because of that, I'm like, well, this isn't going to be playable in my opinion. In competitive at all. It's a cool concept, and that's where I'll leave that. Tannen, I think you were excited about this next card.
I have no idea how to pronounce this first word. And do either one of you all know how to pronounce this?
I think it's Lakari.
Yeah,
but I couldn't be sure.
That's kind of where I was. So it's Lakari Sacrifice. It's a quest. It's a quest, and in this one, it's a weird one. For some of the other ones, it says discard 6 cards, reward neither portal. Now, this is for you Warlock guys out there and guys and gals out there, and this one I think is actually pretty good, but still I don't know if it's playable or not, because here's the thing, it still replaces a card, right? If you have this in your hand and play it, you don't have a card that you would have had otherwise. But we're starting to see a little bit of Zoo getting a recursion here, and discard Zoo has all the tools already, and it's just another card that's a big payoff. Plus, there's more cards to discard in this set. I think the next, again, spoilers, but the next card that we're going to talk about is a card that actually works with this quest as well. And this is just
a card that we won't talk about, we'll probably talk about next week, the Warlock Legendary, works very well with this card.
Yeah, very well. And so this is the kind of card that you don't necessarily, it feels like, I have to build my deck around this, but this is what you wanted to be doing anyway. If you wanted to be an aggressive Warlock deck, this one kind of just rewards you for playing Hearthstone. Kind of like a little bit more than the last one, even though I think it feels very similar to the Priest one. I feel like this one is more core-centric to what you're trying to do, because it doesn't force you to play just Death Rattle minions. It just forces you to play minions that have discard, but you're trying to kill your opponent quickly, and all those minions are great. So I actually kind of like this one, and I can see this one seeing a lot of play. What do you think, Sam?
I think it's a very clear push for the discard Warlock synergies. I was in a Discord the other day, and people were like, "Oh, this would work really well with Deathwing in Arena Warlock," and that's interesting. It requires you to set. It is very cute. I think that depending on the rest of the discard synergies that we get in the set, I personally think that right now we have enough. I don't think we needed another discard synergy card. that we're going to be talking about later. I think that you could get by with this one. If this is a card meant to give you like this ultimate value. It's so Nether Portal. I don't know if we actually talked about it. What the Nether Portal does.
No,
it's a 5-mana spell, and it summons a permanent, which is what we talked about with Shares and Corpse Flower. It's a permanent, but at the end of your turn, I believe, it summons 2 3/2 imps on either side, which may seem it's like 5 mana for 2 3/2s, but it adds up. The longer the game goes, it's sort of this until the game ends. You have this inevitable flood of 2 flame imps being played every turn that don't damage you. Yeah. So this is, the old, you're aware that as the longer this game goes on, you're less likely to win. It kind of feels like Jiraxis in a way, where like the longer Jiraxis can make use of his hero power and summon these like really efficient 6/6 minions, that's how they win. So I feel like this quest is more of the like late game win condition for discard zoo decks. But then it's also you have the thing where it's like, well, why wouldn't I just want to play a good 1-drop instead and just snowball the board that way? So it's going to be an interesting decision for like deck builders and people that are interested in the discard zoo synergies of is the Nether Portal going to be worth it in the end, or do I want to win before the Nether Portal can really gain any value? Because you have to keep the Nether Portal going for a couple amount of turns in order to see some serious value come out of the card. So I think it's going to be really meta dependent on whether we see the spell or not. But I'm excited to see people try it. I'm excited to try it myself.
Yeah, I'm with Tannen a little bit. I'm not super excited about the quest reward system, but I like before Mean Streets came out, I was trying to get Discard Warlock to work, and I was trying to hit Legend with it. I never quite did. I got very close. So I have a lot of interest in Discard Warlock to begin with. And I think this would be fun and interesting to try, especially with the new Legendary we'll probably talk about next week. But I don't know, like with Karazhan, you had the spoon thing where it would come into play when you discard it. You've got Fist of Jiraxis, which I don't know if that's rotating out or not, or if that's in the class. I don't remember what set that card is in.
I thought it was Grand Tournament.
Yeah, it might be rotating.
Yeah, I think it's Grand Tournament.
It feels Grand Tournament-y.
Yeah.
But cards like that when you discard them, an effect happens. They don't actually discard the card, like it gets played or something to that effect. And I think and we kind of see this with the new Legendary that we'll talk about next week, where it comes back into your hand. And I think like this is definitely the design team pushing. Like with these quest rewards, that's the most unfortunate thing I think about the quest, is it feels like the design team is pushing archetypes. Like they're pushing certain decks like they did with Old Gods. Like you want to play this deck and make it work, and we're going to push you in that direction. But at the same time, I think the game needs something like that too, where people are going to try it out, see if it works. And if it does, great. If it doesn't, then we'll probably never see it again like Cthulhu decks today. The next card, though, kind of goes along with this. We kind of talked about it. Lakari Fellhound. I'm just going to briefly talk about this real quick because it kind of goes with this quest.
Right.
It's a 4-mana, 3/8, which is a crazy stat line. Also with Taunt. So you got a 3/8 Taunt on turn 4 with the battle cry of discard 2 random cards. So you're giving up quite a bit to play this. But if you're playing it with this quest, you've discarded 2 cards with it, and you have a 3/8 on turn 4. Tannen, what do you think about this?
If you're playing the quest, card's great. Otherwise, we can probably do better.
Sam?
Wow.
That was short and concise.
Yeah,
hey, you wanted it quick.
I think it's going to protect your early game board for sure. Unless they have spells, I think you're gonna keep whatever you got on the board already. So I think I could see it being in a zoo style deck, but yeah, it's quest push material.
Yep. I completely agree. I think the stat lines are great, so I think this card's definitely going to get played, especially if you're playing the quest. I don't know if it's going to get played if you don't play the quest. We'll have to see. The final card that we're going to go with today. I know you guys are getting tired, but this is an awesome card, in my opinion. It's the Warrior spell, 2 mana, Explore Ungoro, epic card. Replace your deck with copies of Discover a card. So basically you are replacing your deck with Raven Idols. Your entire deck with Raven Idols. Just discover a card. Tannen, are you going to be playing this in your competitive deck? Are you going to be playing this on ladder?
Zero chance of that happening unless I'm streaming. Like, this seems like the fun card to like stream with and like kind of troll with. But when I see this card, all I see is a second printing of Renounce the Win Rate. I'm sorry, I mean Renounce the Darkness. Yeah. But this is a card that when you put it in your deck, you're trolling. Like, this is just not a good card. Like, it's an epic. It has a cool ability. Yeah, sweet stuff happens. I can't think of a situation where like I would rather replace my deck with random cards than the cards I wanted in my deck. But it could lead to some really fun situations. I mean, people are going to want to play this card and make like YouTube content with it a lot and highlight videos, and that'll be great. But I don't recommend bringing this to your next Fireside Gathering or Open Cup if you want to win games.
You see this getting played in Arena, picked in Arena.
Now, that's interesting. That I'm unsure of. I'd probably have to sit there and actually like really think about it, but it's probably... I don't think it's unplayable. I just don't think it's good. Your deck needs to be like bad for this card to be good. Like, your average Discover has to be better than the card that you're playing in your deck, and if your deck's like remotely decent, then it's just not gonna be.
Sam, I know that you're super excited about this card.
Yeah.
You're gonna play it all the time.
You are welcome to bring Explore Ungoro to my firesides. Don't listen to Tannen. This is a board flip card, and it's one of these spells. The use case that I could see for putting it in my deck would be I'm playing a warrior archetype like Control Warrior, right? And I go up against a hunter or somebody that I know I have an abysmal win rate against, and I'm like, I need to change decks right now. And I would rather have literally anything else than what I have right now. And that's one of those times when you would use Explore Ungoro. I mean, all your cards are going to cost basically 1 more mana, but you get to choose the best of 3 for your situation. I imagine you're going to get quite a few class cards because it's the Discover mechanic, and the Discover mechanic leans more towards class discovery. So you're like, well, I just want like 6 copies of Bolster to be added. I want to be offered 6 copies of Bolster,
so that I can play it on my 1 taunt that I got.
Yeah, exactly. I get a Shield Bearer, and then I spend the next. I can imagine. I mean, obviously, it's a bit of a troll card. I mean, it's a bit of like sorry, you don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, so you can't play around it either. It's a board flip scenario, but I'm so excited to see. Like, I think a golden Explore Ungoro is the most value you can get out of the set right now in terms of golden cards.
You might be right.
I think it replaces your entire deck with golden copies of Discover a card. So that's probably going to be my first epic. That's probably going to be one of my first crafts, just because I want to play it. I just want to have a golden deck for once.
This week on how to waste your dust.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those cards that was not designed to be a competitive card at all. And even Peter Whalen. Which is fine. Yeah, which is fine. Peter Whalen even said that on the stream. This is going to be a card that people are going to have fun with. The streamers are going to try and do ridiculous things with. I could see an Explore Ungoro challenge, that streamers will probably try to do, or something ridiculous like that. Basically,
the ancient one with Explore Ungoro.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be, it's a fun card, and people are gonna play with it, and I'll probably build a couple decks with it in mind too, just to have fun with. Not everything in Hearthstone has to be competitive, guys. Right, Sam?
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I don't have competitive aspects at any of my firesides. It's an important distinction to make between a fireside and a tournament for me. But yeah, it's really refreshing to see Blizzard make some of these cards where you just explore and have fun with these cards, and just like they're more focused on making like experiences that you remember rather than like, oh, this is a card to hit legend with.
So-
I'm just excited.
So, Sam, how do you explain Purify?
It makes Ancient Watcher really good. It's 4 mana, 4/5, draw a card. It's so good.
All right. Okay, Sam, we're done.
I could go
we're
on.
done, Sam. We're done.
He's like, hold on, I have a document. Let me pull it up on the computer. I have a list. I have a tier list.
Well, that does it for the card reveals that we have this week. Man, this has been a long show, guys. We might have to get out of here. I think this has been going for about an hour and a half now. It's went longer than I expected, but such is the life of card reviews. I'm sure we'll have more next week. John should be back next week, so hopefully the show will sound better. Hopefully we'll have all of the sounders. You'll have all of the audio actually leveled correctly. I didn't even bother doing that myself, so I don't know how to edit. So I'm just gonna take the raw footage from this and throw it out there for your ears to bleed to. And I apologize.
I think you've
for
done a
all of
great
that.
job, JR. You've done a great job this week.
Thank you for hosting. It's been nice.
But yeah, we need to get out of here. So don't have any emails this week. We did have a question in the chat, and I do want to ask this question before we go. From the Underthing, he's been hanging out here all day, or all evening with us tonight, and he said, "Hey guys, broke down and crafted patches today. Went from 13 to 8 in about 10 games. Do you think Un'Goro will bring about a more control game?" What do you think, Tannen? Have we seen enough to make that distinction that Un'Goro is going to slow down the game?
I think from the cards that we've had revealed so far, for sure, we've seen a lot of like neutral taunt cards, cards of just taunt in general. Like my friend and I were joking the other day that like it might be time for Black Knight to come back out with what's been revealed so far. But I think the average cost of your minions in this set is going to be a little higher than you're used to because dinosaurs, and stuff like that. Like they're going to be big. And then a lot of the early game stuff, you're seeing a little more defensive cards. Like I think Blizzard's been listening. We're sick and tired of just dying on turn 5 every game or the game being decided in the first 3 turns. So I think it's going to slow down a little bit. And that's not to say that you can't still play like Face Pirate and stuff. So
What do you think, Sam? Are we going to see an aggro meta with Un'Goro? Are we going to see control come back that never existed in Hearthstone ever to begin with?
I don't think that we're ever going to see a control meta. I think that we're losing a lot of cards in standard because there's a lot of stuff rotating out and a lot of very aggressive tools that are rotating out. I don't think Blizzard wants an aggro meta. I don't think that Blizzard wants a control meta. I think that they want all decks to be viable, and I think that this set they're like, okay, well, control needs a little bit more tools to survive, based off of like the ultimate sustain and damage that these aggro decks can put out now. They just never seem to run out of cards, and they just like kill you at like shorter and shorter time span. The more cards we have in expansion, the more cards we have to play in general, the more refined the meta is going to get, and the more powerful your decks are going to get. So before the start of each standard season, when cards rotate out, what we're in right now is like refined meta land. And then once we lose all these cards, there's going to be a lot more experimentation. And I hope that, and I believe Blizzard hopes that during this experimentation phase of the first expansion of this Year of the Mammoth, there's going to be a little bit more control on the scene. People are going to be experimenting with control a little bit more. Of course, these early versions of control are going to get punished by aggro because people are just going to want to get to legend quickly and easily with decks that they know.
Yeah, somebody's going to find like the ultimate aggro deck, and that's going to run the ladder for the first month.
Right. But then, as people play control a little bit more, as these decks get refined, as basically like Fibonacci figures out Warrior again, we're going to start to see a little bit more control seep in, and I think that we have the tools for it. I don't think there's going to be any case where control dominates the meta. In fact, I think once this comes out, I think we're going to still see aggro, but I think that control has probably the best chance it's ever had to be a larger part of the meta. Again, this is coming from like a ranked 21 player, so take that with a little bit of a grain of salt.
Hey, all ranks matter.
Wow.
Just wanted to put that out there. So, but no, I'm excited for, a new standard. Like, I'm excited for these big sets that we've had to rotate out. We have some wild cards. We have some classic cards moving to wild permanently that have been staples forever in Hearthstone. And we've got, like today was revealed, we've got a bunch of new cards becoming elementals that are going to synergize with this set. And we'll talk about that more next week. But it has me really excited to see how the game's going to shift in about 2 weeks when this set launches.
Same.
And that's the reason why we're in such a lull right now, is because everybody just wants to play the new stuff. So with that said, as I said, we are getting out of here. Patreon, we did not have anybody new that I am aware of. Maybe we did, and if we did, we'll get to you next week. I apologize for that. If you would like to help the show out, we are supported completely by our patrons. Just head over to patreon.com/wellmetpodcast. You can submit a little donation there, and we can get you in our Facebook group where we've been talking a little bit about this expansion behind the scenes. And you maybe here pretty soon you'll get to play with Tannen. Maybe we'll finally get that going. It'll probably be next week when John is back.
Yeah.
iTunes reviews. Tannen, you want to go over the iTunes reviews, or?
Sure. Yeah, we had 2 5-star reviews this week. From the USA, we had Nathan Kent HS. So thanks for the Hearthstone review on there. And then from Japan, we had Free286. So thanks, guys. We're pretty easy to find on iTunes. You just go to podcast under Hearthstone. We're one of the first 1 or 2 right there. Just click on it, give us a 5-star review, and it really helps out our show.
Yeah, it helps us definitely become more visible and get more people to listen to us and hear how bad I edit together shows.
So hard on yourself.
Yeah. Well, this is my first time doing it, so I'm actually feeling okay. I'm actually feeling okay about it, but I do have to give myself a hard time for it. So let's get out of here. Sam, thanks for joining us on the show. Thanks for coming back, talking about Fireside Gatherings. Where can people find you at? Where can people learn about your Fireside Gatherings, and where can they find you? Where can they find you? Or do you have anything you want to shout out?
Yeah, of course. Well, I want to thank you both for having me on the show. We all miss John. He's on his road trip, but it's always a blast to come on the show. You could find me on Twitter at Ben_Samson. It's Sam Benson, but flipped. I'm also holding Firesides in Kansas City at KC Firesides, and you can find out more about us, and you can find out more about the KC Firesides program at www.kcfiresides.com. Additionally, I am actually running a podcast of my own with my good friend Robert Ignatius HS, where we talk about Hearthstone and the gaming community in Kansas City. We're having local people from KC Game On. We have people from the local community, sort of just talking about Kansas City's role in the national global gaming scene. And that is called the KC Firesides Hearthstone podcast. We just started about 2 months ago, but we're doing an episode every week on Thursdays. So if you're interested, hit up twitch.tv/IgnatiusHS. We usually are live streaming our episodes there, or you can find us on wherever you get your podcasts. Additionally, last thing, I do the voiceover work for the Templestorm Hearthstone YouTube channel. So if you're interested, we have like deck tech videos. We do the meta snapshot breakdowns. So go ahead and subscribe. It really means a lot to us, and it helps us out. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, it was great to have you, man. If you ever want to, a guest or anything on your show, just let me know. I'm happy to. Happy to talk about Kansas City. Definitely happy to talk about Kansas City stuff. If you could not tell, yeah.
Oh yeah, you are absolutely welcome on the show. We'll schedule that up after the show.
Sweet. So Tannen, how about you? Where can people find you at? You have any shout outs for this week?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter under @TheTannenGrace. You can find me on Facebook under my name as well. I'm pretty active in the Well Met Facebook group. I have a couple shout outs this week. First to you, Sam. Thanks for being on the show. You were a delight. You and I hit it off right away. It's my first time meeting you, but I feel like we're old friends, and then I could just like call you up when I need a favor, because I'm gonna call up for doing the fireside stuff. Yeah, exactly. And my other shout out, it's kind of a dual one. So we had a couple of tournament series kind of come to the end recently. We had the Trinity Series from ESL, and ONOG has been having some events recently. And if you haven't been following these, do yourself a favor, go over, follow them, follow their Twitch page, make sure you give them some kind of feedback, whatever it needs to have them keep going. Because honestly, it's been some of the best Hearthstone we've had, like tournament-wise and watching-wise, that I've ever seen. I think the Trinity Series was by far the best thing I've seen happen in Hearthstone in a while, if not ever, especially to the competitive scene. It was hilarious. It was well run. The tournament was great. It was revolutionary. It was very new. It was very fresh, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I can't remember a single tournament series, especially one that went on that long, where I was excited to watch it every day. And then the days when it wasn't there, I was like, man, I really want to get my Trinity Series fix. I viewed in whenever I could. I watched the VODs. So I'd like to give a shout out to those guys, because they did one hell of a job, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, I agree. Like the last few weeks, Hearthstone Esports has been so good. It's good. It's been a while since it's been on this level, and these North America events that they've been putting on lately, have been really fun to watch. And I was really happy to see that TJ Sanders, who was hosting the Trinity Series over at ESL, just got hired by Blizzard and is going to be helping over there on the esports team. So huge congrats to TJ for that. He's been a great host, and I'm excited to see what he does at Blizzard.
He's a delight to work with, an amazing human being. He's been nothing but like the most stand-up gentleman ever in every situation that I've worked with or done anything with, and I couldn't be more happy for him. So I'm so excited to see what he's going to be doing in the future, because it's going to be good. Yeah. The guy's very smart.
Yeah. As for me, I also just wanted to give a shout out to Sam for coming on the show, talking about Fireside Gatherings, because that is a thing that I really enjoy and wish that we could talk more of and do more of and have them more often. And people listening to the show need to go out and start their own. And so does Tannen.
It's going to happen. I'm literally going to look into it tomorrow.
Yeah. As for me, you can follow me over on Twitter at Eldorian. I've been tweeting fairly often, usually about Nintendo, or usually complaining about Hearthstone, or other things here and there. Also, I've been writing a lot more lately. So you can find a lot of my articles over on BlizzPro. Hearthstone, of course, over at hearthstone.blizzpro.com. So go over there and check that out. I have the spoiler list. I'm trying to keep that updated as soon as cards come in. So if you want to see like the latest cards that have been revealed in Journey to Un'Goro, definitely go check that out. That's been one of our most popular articles we put out every expansion. But no, I'm just writing a lot more lately for some reason. So it's been feeling pretty good. Anyway, that does it for episode 101 of Well Met Podcast. Thanks for joining us for this episode. You can join us live every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/BlizzPro to get in on the conversation, and follow the show on Twitter at Well Met Podcast for additional news and updates. Well Met, of course, is supported by our fans. If you love the show, you can find out how to become part of the family over at patreon.com/WellMetPodcast. You You can also find Well Met apparel over at store.blizzpro.com. Get that sweet Well Met t-shirt, and then wear it to BlizzCon and give Tannen a hug. And a special thanks
I will accept all hugs.
And a special thanks to Jake Buttineau for our music and site designs for our graphic designs. This has been episode 101 of Well Met, and we'll see you guys again next week.